What the fuck it is, YouTube? Sanzy3 here to do another manga recommendation, my second one that I'm doing today. So, yeah, I just did JoJo's Part 7. If you guys haven't watched that, please go ahead and watch that. It's well worth your time, or at least reading the manga is well worth your time. Don't wait around for the anime, read it. And, actually, one thing that I forgot to say about that was you can read that part on your own without without having much knowledge of like the other parts. So you'll just miss like some of the references. But yeah, anyway, this one's gonna be about Vinland Saga. What I said about JoJo's, like in that other video, where it was a 10 out of 10. Vinland Saga is a 10 out of 10. This is like a 10 out of 10 manga as far as I'm concerned. Um, this is only the second manga that I've given a 10 out of 10 to. I've given it a 10 out of 10 to like other things like How I Beat Bop, the Trust and Betrayal, Kenshin OVA, and JoJo's Part 7 with Steel Ball Run. But Vinland Saga to me, like, well, JoJo's Part 7 and this might be like the best mangas that I've ever read. Vinland Saga is just so good. It's just so good. And what's funny was like when I caught up, like I was thinking like this is only like my 17th favorite manga, but my 17th. Like I'm not even like bullshitting about that. Like that's like a serious number. I actually have like a list. I don't have it open right now, but that was like a serious number. Like it was 17th. And like in the past like 2 or 3 days, I've been like sort of like rearranging like my favorites and how I rank stuff. So now it's in my top 10. Now I think it's like number 7. It's bottom 5, but it's in my top 10. Bottom 5 would be like 6 or 7 or one. No, not 6. It might be like let me think. It'll be like 7 or 8. One of those two. But yeah, I mean, like it's a very good fucking manga. It's probably like that and Steel Ball Run are like the best mangas that I think I've read so far. Um, so yeah, Vinland Saga, just everything. Like again, like this is just something that I can't find like a flaw. Like it's just flawless to me. The art's amazing. The characters are great. The story is good. The world building is excellent. The action is great. Just all the things that you want to like find in a manga, I think you can find in Vinland Saga. So, just to start it off, I guess I can just give like the whole like premise and plot of the story. Basically, this is just about the story of Thorfinn, who is the main character of the series, and it's about him and his journey with a group of like other characters as they traverse the world of the Vikings. So this is like 1500s, 1600s, like in the northwestern, eastern parts of like England, or like above England, so like where like Wales and New Zealand I think are, Greenland, like places like that. So it's basically like the northern part of the Atlantic Ocean, pretty much. And it's about that and like the various traces or the various expeditions from one country to another, basically. And so, every Viking is trying to find Vinland, if you will, which is like the perfect land. And basically, it's implied that Vinland is like North America, at least in Vinland Saga. So, that's basically what the story is about. It's about Thorfinn trying to get to Vinland. That's basically the best way I can put it. So, as for my favorite characters, I don't know who my favorite characters are yet. Thorfinn is going to be one of them. Thorfinn is a lot like Gohan, now that I think about it. Thorfinn, specifically, I would say like the Gohan's character arc from when he was like a Super Saiyan 2 during the Cell game to the end of the series, where he turns into like a sort of like a pacifist, if you will, that doesn't fight anymore. And Thorfinn is kind of like that. Thorfinn, initially, like when you start seeing him, like in the first like 50 chapters or so, is pretty much like this badass, cold-hearted, ruthless assassin. But after he starts to learn about like what it means to be strong and what it means to be a warrior and like how to be like a good person, if you will, that's when he sort of like does away with like his whole warrior persona and starts to take on a more like non-violent, peaceful sort of approach to resolving things. And so that's what I'm gonna say. Like, if you like Thorfinn, you don't have the right to bitch about Gohan. You don't have the right to bitch about Gohan. Dude, I don't care. Like, to all the ones that are saying that Gohan was a shit character after Cell, read, like, I dare you to say the same. I dare you to say the same thing about Thorfinn. You will not feel the same. It's basically the same thing. If you bitch about Gohan but you praise Thorfinn, You're a fucking hypocrite, and you should be ashamed. No, okay. Being ashamed of yourself might be a little too harsh, but you're a fucking hypocrite. That's what you are. So yeah, Thorfinn is obviously up there. Thorkel, who is basically like this happy-go-lucky, battle-crazy kind of. I would say like he's kind of like a more violent, bloodthirsty, vicious Goku, if you will, only because like he has like this, and he takes on more of like a leadership role, too. Like he leads like a ragtag band of thieves, if you will, that are fighting against the government. But yeah, he loves this fighting. He looks like a beast. He wields like two battle axes. He was a friend of Thorfinn's father, I think, or like at least he used to spar against him when they were younger. So yeah, he's up there. Askeladd. Askeladd is just like such a freaking amazing character. Oh my god, like dude, Askeladd. Once you see his flashback and once you learn about his past, oh my god, like it's incredible. And Askeladd, like if I were to sort of like compare him to like another character, I'd probably say like Namek Arc Vegeta would be like a good comparison because both of them are sort of like these smart, ruthless, conniving, cunning characters that pretty much do anything. They pretty much do anything that it takes to win, and they don't care if they get innocent people in the way. They don't care who they have to kill. They'll just do it to achieve their goals. And maybe that's another thing because like Vikings love battle so much, and like they're like Spartans. Maybe that's why like I sort of like intrinsically or automatically like compare them to Saiyans. So maybe that makes the comparison all the much more stronger. But yeah, Askeladd is just amazing. Like he's pretty much in a sense Thorfinn's mentor at the beginning of the series. I would say like if he had stuck around more. Oh, actually, I'm not gonna say. Well, that's not really a spoiler because you kind of expect it. But Thorfinn's father, I think, would have been my favorite character had he like stuck around a little more. But yeah, like just freaking awesome characters. Oh yeah, King Canute. King Canute is sort of like he in a sense. If you guys read Berserk, he's sort of like Griffith, if you will, and that he's trying to achieve like a higher position in the government, in the Celtic government, and his development is just great. He in a sense actually kind of embodies Gohan, because he goes from someone who is very wimpy and someone who doesn't really know how to assert his will or impose his will on people, and he's like the king, if you will. So, or he's going to be the next in line to be the king, right? So he actually kind of like Gohan does learns to like toughen up and sort of like be more commanding and have that sort of like royal presence, so that he can have like that sort of aura, that kingly royal aura. So like yeah, he's definitely like one of the best characters in the series as well. Yeah, but there's just like a lot of great characters. Like even like Thorfinn's sister, Ilfa, I think her name was. Like I like her. She's a great character as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, those are the characters. The world, like as far as like how it immerses you, like in Celtic and Norwegian and Welsh history, and like Welsh worlds and atmospheres, like that's just like incredible. And because you usually like those sort of like fantasy settings, if you will, like middle age stuff, like those aren't usually attractive sort of like environments for me to go like and explore, right? Very rarely does it like sort of like entice me to go ahead and like check out like a movie or a film or a game about like that sort of mythology, lore, legend, if you will. But Vinland Saga is like one of those few. I would say like The Witcher 3 is another one. Even though I don't really have the game, I've been watching videos on YouTube, so it's been interesting. But yeah, usually like those sort of like knightly, kingly, magic, dragon sort of thing doesn't really entice me. And that's not really Vinland Saga because it's more historically based. There's not really any magic, fantasy stuff. It's like Vikings, but the whole old European stuff just is not very interesting to me at least. Outside of like the Italian Renaissance or the French Renaissance or something, but yeah. So I mean, if a manga can do that to me, make me like something that I usually hate, it's doing something right. The art is fantastic. I love the freaking art. Everything is drawn cleanly. Characters look mad when they are mad. They look happy when they are happy. But one awesome thing that I've noticed that the mangaka does, it's like what's his name? Makoto Yukimura. Yeah, there we go. The way that he draws blood in this series. So basically, let's say like this is my sword, right, and I'm swinging it. So the trail of air, if you will, that I'm leaving with my sword, if that's bloodied, the way that he draws like that trail of blood that the sword leaves when a character swings it is like honestly like the best way that I've ever seen that drawn in a manga. So basically, like it's blood spatter that I'm talking about. There's just a way in which he draws it. It's like so clean, and there's like spikes coming out of it and stuff. It just looks so pleasing and attractive and just nice in general. Even though it is violent and it is blood, but the way that it's drawn is just like so good looking. And it's not just for swords. It's for like any weapon that any Viking or warrior is swinging. So that looks good. The story's pretty interesting, I would say, just seeing like the different lands out there and how they were during the 1500s, 1400s, 1300s, 1600s, whatever it is. The action is fantastic. Like Thorfinn versus Thorkel was like in the snow. That was awesome. And so yeah, Vinland Saga, man. I what else do I have to talk about? I talked about the characters. I talked about the world. I talked about the story. Talked about the art. Talked about the action. The humor, I think is. I mean, to me, humor in seinen hasn't really been like. I can't think of like a humorous seinen which, besides maybe JoJo's Part 7, which I really like started like laughing at. But oh no, never mind. Yo, what Askeladd does towards the beginning of Vinland Saga. I made a post about this in Seinen Utopia or the J Room. Was so freaking funny. It was so good. Like I was dying. Basically, he steals all the riches for himself, but you'll see like what I mean by that when you see it. But that was hilarious. That was incredible. Yeah. I should take that back. The humor in Vinland Saga, I think, is pretty freaking good. So yeah, those are some of the reasons why I think like it's a 10 out of 10, and it's definitely worth the read. I hope you guys read it. You guys should read it. Pretty much that and Steel Ball Run from JoJo's Part 7 are pretty much the best. Mangas that I've read. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on my next video. Peace.